You know the feeling. Lying awake at 3 a.m. while your brain runs through 100 different simulations of the future. Or sitting quietly in a crowded room, perfectly still, while everyone else buzzes around you, feeling entirely alone in a sea of small talk. When you experience chronic overthinking, friction in social settings, or grating sensory overload, it is incredibly easy to conclude that something is wrong with you. You might wonder if you are simply broken. But what if this mental distress isn't a psychological defect at all? What if, instead, you are carrying the heavy, deeply misunderstood burden of possessing extreme intelligence? Faramarz Kowsari addresses this exact psychological phenomenon in his book, The High-Resolution Mind. As the text in this image asks, what happens when a mind sees more, processes faster, and feels deeper than the world around it can easily hold? An exceptionally high IQ constitutes an entirely different neurological reality, a complex, often overwhelming way of existing that requires its own survival manual. To understand why, we look to biology. According to the parieto-frontal integration theory, intelligence functions as a distributed network linking the frontal and parietal lobes. Because of this high-speed wiring, the brain instantly detects patterns, carrying significantly more complexity than the environment expects. This biological reality produces a phenomenon Kowsari calls the delay. Imagine being at a dinner party or a corporate meeting. Someone makes a comment, and you pause. From the outside, you might appear quiet, absent, or strangely hesitant to respond. But inside, that delay is full of movement. In a fraction of a second, your mind is running 4 simultaneous tracks. Layer 1 is reading the surface facts. Layer 2 is reading the hidden motives of the speaker. Layer 3 is testing the future consequences of the idea. And Layer 4 is questioning whether the entire premise of the conversation is actually false. This intense internal processing is exactly why extreme intelligence often looks like withdrawal. The mind isn't slow. It is simply carrying more reality than the room has asked for. Chronic anxiety and late-night rumination often emerge when a processor built for insight runs without an off switch, creating exhaustion through restless cognitive momentum. Social disconnect arises from the loneliness of instantly mapping a room's hidden architecture and motives, while everyone else remains focused on the surface-level small talk. Sensory overload, the sharp irritation of fluorescent lights or crowded spaces, marks a refined nervous system receiving more signal than the environment knows how to filter. Boredom and procrastination indicate a mind starving for depth. Relying on a deadline engine provides the intense, high-stakes creative pressure a fast mind requires to finally engage. These difficult daily experiences represent the inevitable, exhausting friction of a high-resolution instrument forced to operate in a low-resolution world. Recognizing this friction is important, but a high IQ is not a moral rank. It explains the tension, but it does not excuse cruelty, arrogance, or manipulation. Extreme intelligence still owes the world fairness, patience, and emotional literacy. So, how do you manage it? Kowsari points out that the goal is not to figure out how to think less. The goal is to learn how to suffer less from thinking. You do this by building a humane container for your mind. This requires designing a life with precise boundaries. You need environments that offer genuine, deep challenge to satisfy your cognitive hunger. And you must treat solitude not as a way to avoid people, but as necessary cognitive nutrition and repair for your nervous system. A powerful mind only becomes truly free when it stops demanding that the world be simple and starts shaping its own intense processing power into a focused craft. You do not have to carry the exhausting burden of a misunderstood mind all by yourself, and you certainly do not need to misread your own depth as a defect anymore. To uncover the unseen interior life of your own intelligence and learn how to house it, read The High-Resolution Mind by Faramarz Kowsari. You can find it available on Google Books by visiting the URL on screen.